there. Any troubles you got? It's free. He's Trillo.
He's Suede.
What's going on in your life?
I actually don't know what I need advice on.
I'm learning how not to overanalyze.
Overanalyze. That's.
I sometimes I suffer from paralysis by analysis.
I see that. You know, I'm very accustomed to that trouble. Not me. It's Trillo here.
Right.
He's got a bad case of that.
Yeah, I overanalyze like crazy.
Absolutely.
But you know, the fact that you're analytical, that's a good place to start because it means you're self-aware.
Yes,
because
I am.
you know, it's hard if you don't have any of that self-awareness in life.
Actually, I do have advice. I need to stop lying to people.
Oh,
It's kind of an issue that I've had.
You should become a lawyer, then you could use that. You know.
Actually, it's such a good idea. I should become a lawyer.
Yeah, but it's a coping device. I sense from you that you're not naturally like you want to just trick people, like. You know, but it's coping, right? You had some issues growing up that you had to sort of for survival kind of or emotional stability. You had to fudge the truth sometimes, right?
I don't know, but I definitely had some emotional trauma for sure, but
You know,
not anything intense. Not anything intense.
Low key.
It's low key
but-
emotional trauma.
I came out to my parents about my eating problems and my relationship with food, I guess is the best way to put it.
So your parents didn't know about that you had some issue with it?
My mom gave me a really hard time about it, so this past week has been very difficult, I'd say, mentally. She will have outbursts where she'll yell at me if I try to control what I'm eating or making sure that I'm eating healthy.
So she doesn't understand that just backfires. It just makes it worse, right? When you get that stress on you.
Yeah.
There's no magic answer. The only other thing is to try to get some adult on your side, somebody you can trust if you can.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you got to stay within yourself and be true to yourself. And, you got to study, but have some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you little party. Between you and me, the partying is very important. You gotta party. Otherwise, you can go crazy, You already have a lot of stress. So you need downtime. Well, at least you got each other.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have a good friend. They feel very isolated. Yeah.
I've been with my wife for 8 years and currently split up. So
that's tough.
Yeah, I'm here in New York by myself with my dog.
Very vulnerable thing to when you're in love with someone and you commit yourself.
Right.
So that really hurts, huh?
It's me having commitment issues and trust issues. I don't trust people either.
I bet you've been burned before, huh? You got hurt before, because it's true. I mean, a lot of people they just suck. That's the way it is. So it could lead to distrust. But sometimes that stops you from living your life. So you got to sort of try to step back a little bit, take a deep breath.
I've been through that kind of stuff myself.
Right.
So I know it hurts like hell. But the one thing is, you got to watch out not to let your identity be mixed up with that relationship. It's a hard lesson.
I do talk to a therapist, but I don't tell her everything. So I felt like I could tell you, I felt in deep depression where I didn't want to be here anymore.
I know, I could say from my experience, and this is true, that big danger is to feel your identity is the relationship. So then if you lose that, especially something that's sudden, feels traumatic, right? And it feels like, if you are so connected with being in that relationship, you begin to feel like what do I have? Like I have nothing, or who am I? It's not really the truth.
The truth is that you're not the relationship. Keep reminding yourself when you're feeling really down, like it's really getting to you. You're the same guy, the same cool Gabe before, during, and after.
You won't be feeling that. Before you know it, you'll be feeling. You won't even have that feeling like, who am I without her?
I wouldn't be here today because I looked at myself in the mirror. I said I love myself. Otherwise, if I didn't love myself, you'd probably read me in a paper. So because I was feeling really down. Thank you for your advice.
You're welcome.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right.
Sure. Take care.
Welcome once again to the Radical Imagination. I'm your host, Jim Vrettos. I'm a sociologist who's taught at John Jay College and Yeshiva University here in New York City. We're thrilled to once again have on the Radical Imagination the world of Trillo and Suede, the brilliant film noir parody web series created, written, and executive produced by the gifted ventriloquist, humorous musician, and actor Jonathan Geffner. The show has garnered rave reviews and a growing cult web following in its first 2 seasons, winning 39 major international film contests, including winner for Best Web Series, Best Comedy, Best Noir, Best Soundtrack, and numerous other honors. The best is yet to come. They're now embarking on a fantastic new film project called Casanoir. It's Jonathan's homage and love affair to the quintessential, timeless classic film Casablanca. This time with the absurdist, quirky, ventriloquist twist of Trillo and Suede. The shooting begins the last week of July, and the Fund My Film campaign will continue through August to meet post-production funding needs in order to complete and market the film, including a strategy to make Casanoir Oscar eligible. Thanks to the partnership with From the Heart Productions, Casanoir has a 501c3 status, which means every donation made is tax deductible. We're also thrilled to have the versatile and talented Katharina Schmidt on the show to talk about her leading role in Casanoir as Helen. She played recurring guest star roles in season 1 and 2 of Trillo and Suede, including Helga, a German femme fatale with a wooden sense of humor, and Helena, a French femme fatale with a pastry fetish, and in season 2 as Heather, a damsel in distress from Chicago. We also hope that Katharina will be able to shed much needed light on her romantic and erotic obsessions with Suede during these episodes. Obsessions which have raised considerable curiosity among Trillo and Suede fans. So thank you so very, very much, Katharina, Helen from Casanoir, and Jonathan and Suede, Trillo and Suede. Thank you all for being here. And let's first discuss this fantastic new film production that is going to start right in just a couple of weeks. We're taping this on, July 7th. So you must be all very, very excited about this. Tell us a little about this.
We're almost there.
Almost there? To the end of July, right.
More weeks, yeah.
Yes, it is very exciting. It's been a long time in coming. Long story, history involved with leading up to this, but we're finally on the verge of doing it. We've got everything lined up with our locations and funding almost in place, but we still need funding. That's for the post-production mainly, and that's why we still have our campaign. We're going to run it through the end of August.
Okay, and tell me, you again, you said this has been on your mind for many, many years. What was behind the interest? What about Casablanca so intrigued you, and why are you doing this? Why are you so committed to this production?
Well, the main inspiration for Trillo here is me, my talents. I think it inspired him. He thought, how can I use this the brilliance, the genius of my partner Suede?
I see.
In a way that's going to be most effective. So he came up with this idea. I helped him, right? We wrote it together.
Yeah, the Casanoir script, and the reason that I gravitated toward this is because it's one of my all-time favorite films, Casablanca. That's what I'm referring to, the great classic.
Not exactly film noir.
No, not exactly film noir by film noir experts, aficionados. They don't usually classify it as film noir. It doesn't quite tick all the boxes of film noir, but it is of that general genre. It's certainly of that era, and it does have some of the definite elements that we associate with film noir, and it's a classic film of that era, and starring Humphrey Bogart in the lead male role, who's also very famous for some other detective roles in definite film noirs, like the Maltese Falcon.
That was the first one, often called the very first film noir.
That's right, Maltese Falcon. But Casablanca being a great masterpiece and favorite of mine, and so I think it's sort of ripe for parody, because I enjoy parodying things that I love most of all. You know, it's fun to parody things that are that you think are bad. That's fun in a different way.
I like to do that. But Trillo turned me on to the other possibility of doing it the other way also.
That's right. And so I get particular pleasure out of parodying things, so coming from a place of affection. So that's the case with film noir in general, because I love the genre of film noir, but that also makes me often in the mood to poke fun of it, because I see a lot of things that can be poked fun. So that's fun.
Well, speaking of affection for it, and we will talk more about the film noir genre later on. But again, talking about feelings of affection, Suede, who was the one? How much influence did you have in having Helen become the star, in the sense of in the leading role of this?
Well, we were discussing who we'd like to cast in the lead role.
Yeah. So
role for Casanoir, because we had several, leading actresses, femme fatale characters in the web series, the 2 seasons we've had so far, and they're all great. You know that they're all great actresses. I should say characters, because you understand that everybody kind of plays themselves. I mean, we're Trillo and Suede, and we have Helen here, and she goes by other names, but she's the same character, you know. So she's going by Helen here, but the same gal. And all these gals were talented and beautiful and all that stuff. But we were thinking, putting our heads together, who's going to be the very best for this role?
Right.
And, it was a no-brainer. We said simultaneously, it's got to be Katharina alias Helen.
So, right. So Helen, you're the femme fatale, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, playing herself, by the way. I want to
playing herself. Okay.
She's known sometimes as Katharina. That's really a misconception, just like Trillo here is sometimes called Jonathan Geffner. You know, it's a misconception, but we roll with it sometimes. Just like Helen here rolls with that misidentification of Katharina. You know, so people get confused. You know, we don't want to constantly explain it over and over again, you know, that she's really Helen. She plays a role of Katharina sometimes, but she's Helen. Well, she can talk for herself.
She certainly can. Helen, how do you feel about playing this role? How have you prepared for it?
Well, I tried to learn the piano, but as it turns out, I don't have perfect pitch or musical ability at all. However, I was a little less fatal than all the other femme fatales, so I believe that gave me some credit to fill this role. But yes, all the other girls were fantastic. I just seem to have less musical ability than all the others.
I can vouch for that, you know, because that's not why we're hiring her to play herself in this series. You know what I mean? In this short movie, Casanoir, because when it comes to singing ability, well, you'll hear when we finish the film. You're going to hear Helen. Not only she doesn't have perfect pitch, but she doesn't have any pitch, not at all. So it's somewhat painful to listen to her sing. But we hired her in spite of that, because she's so darn classy and perfect for playing herself after all.
Okay, there you go. But again, what can you give us in a brief nutshell here what this movie is about? What are you attempting to accomplish here?
Well, you could go on, Helen, to answer that.
Why not? Yeah, Helen.
Well, actually, maybe it's not a fair question for Helen, because we were lucky enough to bring her on board for this, but it wasn't her concept originally. We're just glad that she was able to join us for it. But I guess I'm always happy to hear from our cast members, and especially in this case from Helen, why she wanted to join us. So I was happy to join us for this
particular venture.
Tell us, Helen, how did you come to join in this venture, and what do you hope to bring to the production?
Well, I guess I was the one with, as I said, the least perfect pitch, and that's why I sort of found myself in this bar that serves no alcohol whatsoever, and I've been sober for a very long time. I guess the other girls weren't, so it just sort of fell to me. Well, I was trying to get out of New York, and I found myself stuck in New York, couldn't get out, so I ended up seeing Trillo and Suede, and we sort of just hung around together, singing songs.
Off it and being stuck. That sounds a wonder. That really sounds interesting way of starting all this. Yeah. You're stuck in New York with really little musical talent, with very little pitch, but you bring a wonderful, would you say, glamour and intrigue to the film?
Well, I try to, you know, as long as there's no singing involved, I think I'm very charming. You know, however, we do get up into a lot of shenanigans, and hopefully I make it look a little bit more glamorous than, you know, I'm able to, but...
Listen, compared to Trillo and Suede, of course you do.
I'm a little less wooden, I will say that.
Absolutely.
Which is not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It all depends.
Right.
It's very true, but when I dance, I don't have a peg leg. Let's just say that.
Yeah, well, and I'm thankful for that.
You are. All right. Well, there are other characters, aren't there, in this production?
Yeah.
Would you like to describe some of them and perhaps bring them on as well?
Yeah, they're hanging out. Some of them are hanging out right over here. I'd say, of course, Trillo and me and Helen, we're the main characters, because it's true life, you see. We're playing out a story, as we always do. The web series and this movie, we're playing out stories from our true life. So, you know, Casanoir is about a very intensely dangerous, tragic time in New York City, and in our alternate universe, so you understand. So
when is it not a tragic, difficult time in New York City?
Well, for me, Trillo and me, we got different perspectives on this, because for me, all times are good times, because I see the silver lining in everything. One of the silver linings is that dames are always so attracted to me. So that gives me a different look at everything. But Trillo here would agree with you. You know, I know him well enough that I know that's his attitude. That when is it never a good time? It's always a bad time. That's the way he looks at everything.
Yeah, we have a dichotomy there. But anyway, it's a very intensely dangerous time in New York City at the time that this takes place. Casanoir, there's it's dark times that have afflicted the city, and people are desperately trying to escape. And that's the crux of the problem, where Helen comes to Trillo and Suede for help in escaping from dire circumstances in New York City. So other characters.
Just where are they trying to escape to? Is there a plan?
Canada. Canada is the south.
Canada.
Yes. So all hopes rest in getting exit visas to Canada.
It's like sort of during the Vietnam War, and you're a draft, you don't want to fight in the war. It's, again, salvation was in Canada. If you were.
Yeah, that seems to recur in history.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but that was a dangerous time too, as well. So Canada. Now they have restrictions. Would they be restricting this possible escape, or?
The U.S. government and the New York City government is trying to stop people, because there's a lot of exodus. And they said, well, you're not going to go into all the details. You got to see the movie to.
Yes, we do.
More the gist of what. That is the gist of what happens. But I think I see there got some pals here, some buddies who are chomping on the bit to say something. So I think I'll say goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
I'll say goodbye for now, and
and Helen and I will keep on talking.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll see if we can bring another one of our cast members to join.
Wonderful. That sounds good. That sounds wonderful.
So, it's great to see you again,
It's
Jim.
great to see you, and I hope, Suede, that I'm going to be asking a rather personal question of Helen, and I know you're not going to be able to listen to it, but perhaps that's better anyway. But the question is, and then I'll let you go, and we'll see you again, I'm sure. Is the obvious erotic and romantic feeling she seems to have indicated in the first couple of years of Trillo and Suede in the episodes that she was on. So that's the question I'd like to maybe pursue just a little bit with Helen, all tongue in cheek here a little bit. But in any case, no, it's you play this incredible role in these two seasons. Helga Hegler, and then you play Heather. Tell us a little bit more about your acting career and what you've been involved in and how you got involved in this, and so a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, yeah, totally. So I have a background in theater. That was my bread and butter growing up. And I'm also bilingual. I speak German fluently and English. So I guess I had this ear. I also played instruments and, sang. So I guess I had an ear for accents and mimicry in a way. Like I just would pick up a lot of people's either the way they spoke, intonation, accent, that kind of thing. So that coupled with like my theater training, which I dabbled in high school. I went to college for it, and then.
Are you from New York? Are you New York?
Yeah. I'm located.
Born and raised in New York?
No, actually. So I ended up there now, but I was born in Germany, in München, and I lived in Hungary for a bit. I moved back to Germany. I lived in Australia, and my accent always comes out when I talk about Australia, so I apologize for that. But I lived there for about 5.5 years, and then I moved to New Jersey of all places. And I'm also located, actually right now I'm in South Carolina, so I'm like Savannah, Georgia as well. Wow. So like that sort of upbringing helped me develop an ear for accents. And I think that sort of informed and sort of put me in the position to play Helga and Elaine and Heather, because my dad is from Chicago. and he talks like a Chicagoan. And so, he's always like, oh gosh, and, the hard A. So I sort of had that in my dancing around in my brain since I was a kid. So that's sort of like, I guess it was all these influences sort of came together and melded into these roles. And Jonathan gave me a lot of leeway, or Trillo and Suede gave me a lot of leeway to sort of, play with the characters. I used a lot of what I grew up with, like the O Tannenbaum I sing in season 1 of Trillo and Suede as Helga. That's something I sang as a kid in Germany all the times, but I just sort of had these tools, and Helga and Elaine sort of fell in my lap. Actually, it was supposed to just be one character. I think it was French or German, this alter ego, or this one for Heather or Helga or Elaine. And Jonathan actually revised it so that I had multiple personalities, multiple sort of accents and personas that I played throughout the 2 seasons of Trillo and Suede. And of course, Heather came in the 2nd season as sort of the 3rd persona.
Sort of a valley girl, a little bit in a sense, Southern California. But have you, in your travels, have you ever met, I believe we're joined by Trillo again and Mrs. Levinsky. Have you ever met Helen, Mrs. Levinsky? Have you heard that sort of accent very much in your life?
Who's he talking to? He's talking to you.
Oh, we're talking to you. We're talking to Helen, and it's wonderful to see you. Mrs. Levinsky, I love your performance.
I see myself in the picture there.
You look terrific.
Yeah, that's you. But there's Jim over there. And
that's you.
Helen.
Helen is on the over here.
Yeah, you recognize the girl then. You recognize her. Yeah, I see.
You do.
Yeah, well, I think that's Helga. Sometimes she's known as Helga. Sometimes Helene. Sometimes Heather. And now Helen. Oh yeah. How come? Well, because in our new movie, Casanoir. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be in that movie.
You are, but I've heard. I don't know if this is true. You're lobbying for the movie to be only in Yiddish. Is that correct, Mrs. Levinsky? You're not going to boycott the movie, but I know you have an affinity and love for the Yiddish language. So will you still be performing even if it's not in Yiddish? What do you feel about that, Mrs.
Well, I got 2 complaints about this movie.
You did?
Yeah. The first thing is I thought it's a big mistake. It's going to be in English.
Yeah.
I told Trillo it should be in Yiddish because it's going to be more fun that way. And the other complaint is that I should be the femme fatale. I should be Helen. It's no offense to you, Helen, but you see, I think that they should go with somebody who looks more glamorous and classy, and that's got to be me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So she didn't make it past that casting call, and we decided to cast her as herself because she's the quintessential Mrs. Levinsky. Sarah Levinsky. She plays herself as the manager of the Last Exit nightclub.
Yeah.
And that's my job. I serve drinks there. What kind of drinks do you serve? Seltzer. Only seltzer.
Right, because Helen was mentioning non-alcoholic drinks.
Yeah. Only seltzer.
Seltzer.
Yeah, you could order seltzer, but that's all.
Okay. All right.
You could have it with a little orange flavor if you want it. Yeah, but that's it. So
it's like flavored mineral water, really.
Yeah, they call it outside New York City. In New York City, it's seltzer. Okay.
No, but she's in South Carolina now, so God knows what they call it there. But no, listen, I think you're perfect for this role. I'm sorry, go ahead.
He just said she's in South Carolina. Who?
Helen.
Helen. Who's Helen? Over there. Oh, yeah, Helen. South Carolina. You know where that is? I think it's Eckveld. Eckveld is Yiddish for end of the world. And German too. But to her, it's the end of the world. It means she has no idea.
Any place outside of
Brooklyn. It does feel like it.
But Helen doesn't feel that way because she's traveled the world, and the world is okay out there. It really is. But so wonderful. I really can't wait. How are you preparing for the production, Mrs. Levinsky?
Well, we are getting the nightclub ready for shooting.
Okay.
So I'm having it catered. All the food's going to be catered when we shoot it. We're catering it? Who's catering it? I'm doing the catering. But we didn't decide that. No, I'm going to do the catering. You're going to prepare food for the cast? Yeah. What kind of food? Lots of gefilte fish. Gefilte fish? Yeah.
That's it?
And knedlach. Those are dumplings.
Wow.
Matzo ball soup. Matzo ball soup. Okay. We get the idea. I see how she's going to... Kasha varnishkis. Kasha varnishkis.
How's that sound, Helen?
Well, I'm very partial to kishka, so I don't.
For you, kishka.
I was wondering if that would be part of the menu.
Yeah, for you, Helen's gonna be a lot of kishka.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I really need to. Yes, I'm very partial to it.
I got it in the oven now. I gotta go take care of the kishka in the oven. Oh, it's gotta run to the oven.
All right, go run to the oven. All right, we'll talk about. No, being from Germany and Hungary, you're sort of used to this, right? The sort of food. I mean, by the way, my mother was born in Germany as well, Dresden.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
My grandfather was going to art school. This is way back, 1912.
Oh, so cool.
Well, absolutely. So I have some of that German influence in a sense from her, although they made their way here. But no, the food is Hungary and Germany. I mean, there's versions of krepla and what Mr. Levinsky is going to serve, correct?
Yeah, there is. I mean, we always like Wurst, we have Weißwurst, which is kind of Kishka, I think is like a Wurst or some kind. It's like a very big one.
It's sort of vegetable stuff. God knows what's in it. It's tasty.
Yeah,
Well, maybe we can get the answer to what.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
And who do we have here now? This is
Trillo over here. Yeah, he met you. Oh, he met you already? Yeah, he already met me. I'm Danny. This is Danny.
Danny, wonderful to meet you.
Oh, actually, I saw the other interview you did with Trillo not long ago. So it's nice to be here because I was looking
It's wonderful to be here. And we were just talking about kishkas, and I don't know, we're just trying to figure out what is in a kishka. It's sort of mysterious, sort of like Casanoir. It's a mystery. It's intrigue.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
It's intriguing to eat a kishka, isn't it?
A lot of smoke and mirrors, if I will.
That's true. Yeah, that fits with the film noir theme. But it's what's inside a kishka. You're better off not knowing.
Ah, okay. So it's like more or less the New York hot dog too. There's a lot of things we're better off not knowing about. But Danny, this is wonderful. What role are you playing in Casanoir?
Well, strangely enough, I played the role of Danny. They're calling me Danny, but I'm playing myself because I overheard there Trillo was explaining that this is very much from real life. Well, yes, our real life experiences in Casanoir. That's the name of the hotel, actually. That's where we get the name. The whole hotel that Helen is staying at when she's visiting New York secretly again. You gotta see the movie to figure that out.
I know. I can't wait.
But anyway, I play the piano because that's one of my talents. So I had a job. We got a history together. Helen, we go way back, and I used to play the piano in that Knish store. What's a Publix Knish store? Yeah, it's a.
Oh yeah, we've seen that store up in the Bronx.
So yeah, it's Brooklyn. Yeah, but
Brooklyn.
This time around, I'm playing the piano in the Last Exit nightclub. It's the hot spot in Brooklyn right now, and then Helen meets up with me. We have a very intense conversation, and I try to help facilitate matters. Yeah, I'm good at that. Yeah, I'm a sort of a mediator, if you catch my drift.
I think I catch your drift. Yeah. You like her and would like to perhaps get to know her a little better.
Well, you could say that, and who's to say we don't have some experience together, some history, which I'm not going to get into right now.
Yeah, no, we don't. But you understand. I mean, Suede also seems to have been part of that interaction as well. Do you feel a little when you're on, doing the production with Suede? Do you feel a little jealous, perhaps, Danny?
Oh, we got to deal with all kinds of things. First of all, in the acting world, you got to deal with stuff like that, and in the film noir world, you got to deal with stuff like that, and in the ventriloquist world, you got to deal with all kinds of craziness. So, that's something. It's just part of life, dealing with that stuff. But I think we're going to delve into it deeper in Casanoir 2. The Return of Casanoir. So,
the Return of Casanoir. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all going to be dealt with there. Right now, though, I got a piano student. I got to go teach the piano, so I'll catch you later.
Okay, great, Danny. We'll look forward to seeing you again. Look forward to seeing you in the movie. Terrific. Well, there's another of your, I don't know what we would call it, love interest or friend interest. I mean, we didn't really get to that. Answering that question about your attachment or possible attachment to Suede. Now, this was again in season 1 and 2 of Trillo. So is there anything really going on there, or are you just sort of, being the femme fatale?
I would say, I mean, he's very charismatic. He has his own sense of humor, and it's very, a man, even a wooden one with a sense of humor is it's hard to find these days, and especially when you're in the middle of a pandemic, humor is quite sought after. So I would say that's part of what makes him so attractive.
And he's very self-assured and confident, isn't he?
Yes, he gives it to you straight too. He's not afraid to be like, this is what it is.
Straight.
And it's just, I don't know, there's something about it.
There certainly is. And oh my God, I was just going to ask what Helen was doing in South Carolina, but here's Ezra. Ezra, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. And you must be from the South, or is that a Southern accent?
Oh, I'm from the hills of Kentucky. How in the world do you know?
Kentucky.
Yeah.
I guess that's, what is that? The Upper South? Is that well, Helen is in South Carolina right now. So I don't think she's in the hills. You're in Savannah, right? Or no, I'm sorry. That's Georgia. I mean, it's all one big whatever down there. We don't want to be cruel because we just had 4th of July and we're all Americans, but it's a different world down there. Yes. But anyway, the hills of Kentucky. Ezra.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I've been in the New York City for quite a while now.
You have?
I kind of wandered over here because I had the Wanderlust. Hey, that's a German word, right? Helen, you know that word, Wanderlust. Yeah, Wanderlust comes from, it's a German word actually. But we know what it means. It is the yearning, the desire to wander, and he wandered up to New York City somehow.
Wow.
That's a long story for another time. But Trillo and me, we started doing shows together in the comedy clubs. You see, the Trillo shows. You know what I mean? But I got tired of it because I didn't want to be the dummy. I found it a little bit offensive. So I started. I went out on my own, but I helped him because Trillo became a detective together with Suede, and I helped them out sometimes, So, but then they invited me to be in this movie together. So,
are you excited about that, Ezra? Are you excited? Yes, your role in production? Yeah,
because I was a little teed off in the web series because they didn't have me in the web series. You see? Yeah, I'm sorry, we just didn't have time to get him into. I had all kinds of ideas, and we were all set for season 3. We couldn't get the funding for it, so we're still hoping to be able to produce season 3 after we shoot this movie. But for now, it's on hold. But Ezra will definitely make an appearance in season 3 of the web series. In the meantime, he will make an appearance in Casanoir. Yes, sir. Because I'm involved with these letters of transit. You see, so Helen kind of needs me, and turns out she needs me in more ways than the one. But you got to watch the movie to find out what I'm referring to.
There's a lot to watch in this movie. I understand.
Yeah. Okay,
wow. So you're a key person here in her escape. You're really it.
It certainly seems like that.
It does. It does.
But I'm not gonna give away the secrets yet. So no spoilers. No spoilers. No. Please. But right now, you see, I'm heavily involved in getting letters of transit. So I got to run right now, and I got to go back to the last exit.
Okay. All right. And Ezra, I hope you're going to be ready for the fame that's probably going to come from this production. And the hills of Kentucky will never be the same as you return. So be prepared for that.
They're not the same anyway. Ever since I left there, it's all downhill for them.
Well, you're going to bring it uphill again.
Yeah. Okay.
Take care.
Kind of like sea level, I would think, in New York.
Sea level.
Or below sea level, as soon we will be.
Oh my, that's depressing. Yeah, no, that's all right. Well, listen, we'll see you soon. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to play the teaser for season 2. I think you're included in this. Helen, Katharina, we're all, and we'll come back in just a little bit, and then we'll talk more about the movie and talk more about what you've been doing in your career and what the heck you're doing down in South Carolina. All right, because that's also that's curious. So we'll be back in a few minutes here, and here is the teaser for season 2 of Trillo and Suede.
It was a gloomy morning in Brooklyn, New York. I was already feeling cynical and alienated because I'm expected to be that way in this genre.
I'm Fiona Fatale.
Cheating on a dame like you? Hard to believe, dollface.
What was your grandfather's name?
Peter Piper.
And why did you say cloaked in mystery?
Whose name began with an A?
You're the psychic, you tell me.
I decided to become Jewish so no one will know that I'm black.
How could I keep my mother out of it?
Stop talking into the microphone.
Oh my god, just finish the scene. We'll fix everything in scene 2.
Is that a mezuzah in your pocket? Or are you just glad to see me?
Oh, no, there's a jar of Harry. Oh, in case I need a nosh.
All right, so here we are all back now again. And we want to spend a little time talking more about this project and the whole idea of the noir genre, which you sort of said, Jonathan, there's whether or not Casablanca is truly of this genre is questionable. And I did a little research myself and exactly what you said. So it does have a femme fatale of sorts, right? It does have the male protagonist. So how would you consider this a film noir? Or tell us a little more about that genre and explain the history of it and its impact on your own production here. And as I understand, much of this comes from German Expressionism, correct?
Yes.
Around World War I in Germany. So if you could get into a little of the history, not to be too academic here, but.
Well, I'm not really an expert anyway on German Expressionism, but I know that that's one of the major forerunners or influences on film noir, because I know German Expressionist films had a lot of somber atmosphere, a lot of shadows, a lot of contrasts, black and white, and dark themes.
Yeah.
So that's all part of film noir too. So that's where the influence comes in. Of course, film noir is a very American genre because the locations and the lingo, the slang, American English slang, is very predominant and very noteworthy about film noir and the types of characters. So it became a very particularly American genre. And there are several elements that are important for film noir as the classification, but that's why there's some debate among film buffs as far for a number of films, is it really film noir or not? And there's no one answer to a lot of these because it depends on how strictly you define film noir. People vary about that. Femme fatale character is classic, is iconic, but not every film noir has a classic femme fatale. Femme fatale literally means fatal female in French. So it's a type of character, female character who's very alluring, typically, a beautiful, seductive, dangerous woman, often turns out to have evil or manipulative intentions and so forth. But so that's a classic femme fatale. But there are leading ladies in film noirs who are not necessarily that character.
Right.
That's very.
How would you describe Helen? And Helen, how do you perceive yourself as this quasi femme fatale character in the production?
I would say. Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you just repeat that? I just missed the end.
No,
of
I'm just curious. As John is talking about the influences in noir as how to define it in genre and the role of the femme fatale, how do you see yourself being influenced? Perhaps even in your own background, studying in Germany, perhaps German Expressionism. But how do you portray the role here in a way? How do you think that the genre is impacted on how you're going to play the role or how you are playing the role?
That's a good question. I know Ingrid Bergman, of course, originated the role. It's a parody on Casablanca.
Yeah.
And I was watching TCM and they had like a little section on femme fatales and what made femme fatales like so attractive in especially film noir, but in general. I think when you watch film noir, you always wonder who the femme fatale is because there's a gravitational pull towards that character. I think audiences just they can't wait to see the femme fatale. And I think Helen, she's not quite as fatal as some femme fatales in the genre. She's pretty docile in comparison to most, but she does have this devious, like ensnaring kind of a quality about her, that the fact that she has, ulterior motives, let's say that. Yes, there's of course, a genuine connection of, being attractive to the male lead and, romance and nostalgia for that romance. But she's also, she's smart. I think one thing that people sort of, especially in femme fatales, they were smart. They had a plan. They were strategic. They weren't just, your female lead that kind of went along to get along. They had an agenda. They really thought for themselves. So I think in a way, Helen also has her own priorities, her own plan. Yes, she's maybe a little bit more docile, but she's also very independent. Like she makes her own decisions. She's not just somebody who's put in this role and has to, sort of, the housewife, 1950s housewife. She's not like that. She's very much more independent. So I think you'll see that in Casanoir as well, that she's not just surface. There is more there. Whether it's accents or personas, she has her own modus operandi.
But don't these femme fatales often get caught in the end with their plans? I understand, right?
Yes, they often do.
They often
do. Not always, and of course, the end remains to be seen of Casanoir. But that does vary, and Katharina is right with her characterization. I agree with all that. That's one reason that many people don't consider Casablanca to be a film noir, because the character of Ilsa, the leading lady, is not a typical kind of a femme fatale. But as I say, there are other elements, because a lot of film noirs that do have that classification don't have that typical femme fatale either. But there needs to be some sort of an alluring leading lady, and she certainly is alluring and mysterious. She is
and dangerous. What about the desire to create a certain suspense or horror or touch people's emotions very deeply, or maybe even their subconscious? So is that something also that you were thinking about, John, as you were
about? I'm not sure exactly.
Well, I mean, what sort of emotions were you trying to move in this production? Because the suspense, is it the horror? Is it the allure, the romance, the cynicism, or a combination?
I wanted to recreate and capture a lot of the actual suspense and intense emotions of Casablanca itself, because I do love that movie, but I wanted to put my own satirical spin on it and make it and transform it into an alternate universe of absurdity, which I'm also very much involved with as a ventriloquist. It's an absurd world that I'm constantly creating with my puppet characters and questioning reality, and trying to share with the audience my own fascination with what is real and what's not real, that kind of thing. So I want to create this compilation of satire, otherworldliness, alternate universe, absurdity, and as well as actually have real drama in it. I mean, when people watch it, I hope that they will become involved in it.
Yes.
And they actually care about the characters while also laughing at the situation and laughing at the characters.
You know, the absurdity, if you look at Casablanca, and again, it's absurd as it is. If you think about the situation there, being stuck in Casablanca and trying to get out, and the Germans, that's absurd too. So the whole thing is absurd. So you're adding another layer of
another layer, yes. Life is absurd.
And the parody is so important. The comic, Katharina, that's Helen, and it's so important for, I think, the leading lady in this case to capture some of that humor, to make it work. You've got to be this comic actress as well, right?
Yeah. And luckily, having done the first 2 seasons of Trillo Suede, I kind of understood already what Jonathan's humor, or his approach to humor is. I think we talked on another interview about the Marx Brothers, and I had like more modern references for the sense of humor sort of in the script. But it definitely, this one works off of Casablanca. So knowing the original is really important in order to play with what Jonathan has written. And that's really what it's about with Jonathan's humor. It's improv, very improv heavy. I can tell you that I improv'd a lot of lines in the first 2 seasons. I just added a ton of...
Brilliant. I must, as we're running short of time, I just need to say, you are fabulous. You're brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
It was just terrific. And again, the improv. I'm just curious, what are some more recent references to the Marx Brothers that you might
well, for Jonathan, a lot of his humor works on like Yiddish puns, and sometimes even English puns. And to me, that's I think of Airplane from the 1970s, I believe, where there was a lot of verbal, humor, a lot of puns, a lot of like double entendres, and working through every single meaning, trying to work that in. So to me, I sort of I gravitated to that, and there was one other one that I'm blanking on now, but a lot of slapstick, maybe Pink Panther. There's a little bit of,
interesting.
Yes, like the sort of slapstick, like the absurdity of the situation kind of that you're finding yourself in. And I guess that goes back to like a little bit of German expressionism, the absurdity, the heightened reality, the alternate reality kind of thing that you find in Trillo and Suede. It's like you find yourself in these absurd circumstances and you're pushing that reality. But everyone takes the circumstance very seriously. Like this is what it is. You as an audience member, they may say like, this is absurd. This doesn't exist. But for the characters, like, no, this is real life. And then they switch it around by acknowledging that it's absurd. They're like, this is all not real, right?
Mrs. Levinsky doesn't know that. She is the bartender at the No Exit serving her seltzer and kishka. So she believes that, and she's doing it. We only have a few seconds left. Jonathan, just wrap it up for us. Tell us a little more how we can help on this production and the funding and so on. And we've got to go, unfortunately.
Yes, we still have our Fund My Film campaign running through the end of August because we do need finishing funds. We are going forward on faith to shoot this movie, on the faith that we will acquire the funds to complete it, to edit it and package it and market it, start to get it out there in the film festivals. So please visit our Fund My Film campaign. Your donations are tax deductible for this particular campaign.
Yeah.
That's a big advantage. So, I'm sure we'll be able to provide the link there and check it out. It's fun to go to the campaign page anyway. You'll learn a lot about the movie, see photos and see some history about the background of this, the backstory of this movie.
We will do that, Jonathan. Unfortunately, we've got to go. Keep the faith. This is going to happen. Can't wait to see it. Katharina, thank you so very much. Know you got to run. And Jonathan, also, it's always a dear pleasure to visit with you. Anytime, you're welcome. And thank you so very, very much again for being on The Radical Imagination.
Thank you for having me.
We'll do it again.
This was lovely. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you again, all of you, for watching us this week on The Radical Imagination. This is Jim Vrettos. We'll see you again next week on
the radical imagination.
Greetings, Trillo and Suede fans. Sam Suede here with big news. Trillo and I have decided to go ahead and shoot our short film Casanoir at the end of this month, July 2021. Our current Fund My Film campaign and our recent Indiegogo campaign will partially fund the production, and we will dig up some dough from other sources to make this happen. It's exciting news because I think Casanoir will be the most amazing Trillo and Suede project you've ever seen, and that's saying something, which is why I'm saying it. We believe in Casanoir so much that we're shooting it on faith that we'll come up with the dough for post-production. You know, editing it and getting cool music and effects and stuff, and then shopping it around to Academy Award qualifying film festivals. Yeah, you heard me, Academy Award, as in Oscars, because we want to make sure that Casanoir follows all the rules to be eligible for an Oscar nomination for Best Short Film. That's where you guys come in. We need your help to bring Casanoir to completion. Visit our Fund My Film page now and make whatever tax-deductible donation you can. Yeah, unlike Kickstarter and Indiegogo and all those other crowdfunding sites, Fund My Film offers tax-deductible status for your donations to our campaign, because we have fiscal sponsorship with From the Heart Productions, a 501c3 charity. Every little bit helps, and your name will go down in history, because we'll give you a special thanks in the end credits of Casanoir. Pretty darn cool, huh? So do it now if you haven't done it yet. Trillo and I thank you. So will future generations of Trillo and Suede fans. Here's looking at you, kids.